Now to Vancouver Island, where Springer should arrive sometime tomorrow night.
King 5's Glenn Farley is live in Telegraph Cove on the north end of the island with preparations there and that new video of another orphaned orca. Glenn.
Well, that's right, Laura. You can tell right here at Telegraph Cove the weather is wonderful. That is considered a big positive. This means that they hopefully will be able to keep this rescue on schedule. But there are some other whales waiting for Springer here. A pod is in the area. We were out on a boat today, and members of A pod, in fact, many groups were out and quite visible today. There are 170 animals that belong to the so-called northern resident community of whales here in North Vancouver Island. Many more whales than live in the southern resident area, which is really South Vancouver Island, the San Juans, primarily in the United States. But Springer may not be the only whale that needs rescuing.
Open up, Charlie. Come on.
The video is incredible, the story disturbing, because this is not Springer, but a second whale calf separated from its pod. A whale called L98 or Luna, a whale that should be living in U.S. waters.
You're going to get us all in trouble. Yeah, banging on the boat. Yeah.
Instead, L98 is living along the west side of Vancouver Island, Canada, in Nootka Sound, at one point pushing on this boat.
Whoa, she's pounding on the bow. Whoa, she just lifted the boat.
Ron Thornycroft and Brian Peterson of Bellingham shared these pictures today. They were taken on Tuesday. They had gone to Canada to fish. They came away with something completely unexpected.
I mean, we just watched the video and it still gives me chills to watch the video. I mean, it's hard to believe we actually did it, and it's hard to look at us and say, well, that's us touching a wild killer whale.
You'd kind of stand back and you'd come closer and it would come right up and it seemed like it wanted you to do it again.
L98 has been living here alone for over a year and has not had any health problems. And there is hope his pod will come by and pick him up this fall.
If the pod does come by, we hope the situation avails itself where he will reunite.
Ed Lockbaum is a manager with the Canadian Department of Fisheries and Oceans. He says the government here is taking a hands-off approach, but the options are open depending on what happens with Springer.
If this thing has a storybook ending and there's a reunion, with her relatives up in the Johnstone Straits area, I think we have to carefully consider further action with L98, but the circumstances being what they are right now suggest that there's a good natural chance of reunion.
Now, what the government here in Canada is not taking a hands-off attitude about is that they do not want people to interact with L98, because what you've seen today has been repeated many times over the past several months with different groups of people, with different boaters, and their concern is that L98, being a social animal, is going to really adapt himself to people, which could make his reunion with his own kind much more difficult if this opportunity ever comes up. Live at Telegraph Cove, Glenn Farley, King 5 News.
Thank you, Glenn. And King 5 cameras will be there as Springer begins her journey home to Vancouver Island. Join us tomorrow for special live coverage during King 5 Morning News. We'll also bring you updates throughout the day, both on King 5 and king5.com.
Tonight, all eyes are on two northwest orphaned orcas. In just a few hours, Springer begins a remarkable journey home from western Washington to her own pod.
The other got a little too friendly with fishermen off Vancouver Island. King 5's Alyssa Hahn is live in the Satellite Center with the extraordinary video of that close encounter. Alyssa.
Dennis, as you know, we've seen plenty of home video of Springer interacting with boats here in the Sound, but these pictures of another wayward whale right here pretty much top everything we've seen so far. Experts say what they see, however, worries them.
And right next to our boat is a killer whale.
It's one of the closest encounters with a whale in the wild, caught on tape. Listen to it vocalize. This is not Springer, but another orca, L98, nicknamed Luna. He, too, is separated from his pod. He should be in U.S. waters, but is now living on the west side of Vancouver Island in Nootka Sound.
I have my hand inside of an orca's mouth.
As you can see in the video, the orca is eager and friendly, taking the Bellingham fisherman who shot the video by surprise.
I mean, we just watched the video and it still gives me chills to watch the video. I mean, it's hard to believe we actually did it, and it's hard to look at us and say, well, that's us touching a wild killer whale.
The Canadian government is taking a hands-off approach for now. L98 appears to be healthy, and there is hope his own pod will come by and pick him up this fall.
If the pod does come by, we hope the situation avails itself where he will reunite.
That is amazing.
Amazing as the video is, environmentalists say it's cause for concern.
This is the kind of behavior that I think is most dangerous.
The whale is far too friendly, leaving some experts to think it could be looking to humans for food instead where it should, to the waters below.
If you love these whales, this is not what you should be doing. If you really want to see our resident populations thrive, we have to let them be whales.
L98 has been living alone for over a year now. Canadian authorities say what they do with this whale depends a lot on what happens to Springer. If tomorrow's move is successful, then they may consider doing the same for L98. I'm Alyssa Hahn reporting live in the Satellite Center.
Thanks, Alyssa. And tonight the stage is set to move Springer to Canadian waters. Springer's journey begins tomorrow morning, a voyage that will take her from Manchester through Discovery Passage to Hansen Island, and a reunion with her whale family, which could happen as early as Saturday. Some of Springer's family is already in the Johnstone Strait, a narrow passage between Vancouver Island and mainland British Columbia, Canada's Pod A. Scientists believe Springer's chances of survival are better here with her pod than in Puget Sound. A reunion won't happen right away. On the north end of Vancouver Island, on Hansen Island, a new pen is set up for Springer, guarded by Canadian authorities. Today, natives of the area caught and offloaded lots of wild salmon to feed to Springer before she swims to freedom.
Well, I think there's a general consensus that if she's in good enough physical shape when she arrives, the sooner the better.
Tonight on this end in Puget Sound, all looks good, and so does Springer. She's healthy. She's gained weight. The tank she'll ride in is ready.
We're pretty prepared. We have contingency plans if things do go awry, but everything right now is falling into place and looking really, really good.
And the catamaran she'll ride on is ready too for the 12-hour trip north. That journey gets underway early tomorrow morning. New on king5.com. You can find a complete schedule along with maps of the route and plenty of video.
King 5 cameras will also be there as Springer begins her journey home to Vancouver Island, so please join us tomorrow for special live coverage during King 5 Morning News. And we will also bring you, of course, updates throughout the day, both on King 5 and king5.com.